Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Today, inshallah, we'll start on the next chapter, which is Ajza'ul Kalam. Ajza', it comes from juz, and juz is a part of something. A part of something. Alright, so Ajza'ul Kalam, it means the parts of speech. The parts of speech. So, قال المصنف رحمه الله تعالى وهو أبو عبد الله محمد بن محمد السنهاجي قال وأقسامه ثلاثة اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى. Of course, from the last lesson, or in the previous lesson, we spoke about تعريف الكلام. So we understand that it's a lafz al-murakkab al-mufid bil-wad', and we understand now what a lafz is, what murakkab is, and what mufid is, and what bil-wad' is. So now that we understand what kalam is, now we're going to go over the parts of speech and the different parts of speech in the Arabic language. So he said, وَأَقْسَامُهُ ثَلَاثَةٌ اسْمٌ وَفِعْلٌ وَحَرْفٌ جَاءَ لِمَعْنًى. So he said, أقول وأقسام الكلام أي أجزاءه التي يتألف منها أو من بعضها ثلاثة لا رابع لها باتفاق النحويين. So he's saying that the parts of speech which speech is composed of, or some of them are the thalatha, three categories. There's no fourth category. باتفاق النحويين. Because some of the people they try to come out with different statements saying that they're putting things as a fourth category and things like that. But all of them, all the parts of speech, they fall into one of these three categories: either ism, or fi'lun, or harfun جاء لمعنى. And then we'll get back to the meaning of that in a second, inshallah, in a minute. So he said الأول الاسم والثاني الفعل والثالث الحرف الذي له معنى. فمثال تألفه منها كلها وهو الأكثر قولك لم يسافر خالد. So here what he did, he said this is an example of speech that's composed of all three of them. Lam is a harf, yusafir is a fi'l, and khalidun is an ism. Alright. So lam, of course, is a harf al-nafi. وجزم وقلب. Alright, they call it harf al-nafi because it's yanfi. Lam, it means like you've now negated this action from Khalid. And they call it a jazm because it yajzam al-fi'l al-mudari, because you say lam yusafir. So that's the jazm. So yusafir is the fi'l al-mudari majzum bil-lam. Alright, so it's a jazm wa qalb. And qalb, they call it qalb because it يقلبه من الحال إلى الماضي المعنى. So you have the lafz as a mudari, which is meaning that now, but the meaning لم يسافر في الماضي. So it's قلب المعنى to the past. So you're taking it from the present tense of the form of the verb, but you're changing the meaning to the past tense, and that's why they call it وقلب. So حرف نفي وجزم وقلب. يسافر فعل مضارع مجزوم بلام. Alright, and خالد is the فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ضمة ظاهرة في آخره. Alright, فلام حرف ويسافر فعل وخالد اسم. Okay, as we just went over. ومثال تألفه من بعضها. So this is an example of it being composed together from some, but not all. حضر زيد. So here you have فعل وفاعل. وصدق نجاة. And here you have اسم واسم. So you have a فعل والفاعل, and the فاعل of course is اسم. والصدق مبتدأ والخبر نجاة. So you have اسم and اسم. فالأول مؤلف من فعل واسم, وثاني مؤلف من اسمين. وقدم الاسم على الفعل والحرف لشرفه عليهما. And that goes back to the اشتقاق of اسم, because the اسم is مشتق من السمو, which is العلو, لأنه على صاحبه, because of it being أشرف الأنواع أقسام الكلمة, which is because you can compose a sentence of two ismain, but you can't do the same with a fi'l or a harf. A harf and a fi'l, the sentence will not be complete until you add an ism. So the same thing with the fi'l, حضر محمد. So it has to have a fa'al, which has to be an ism. Alright, the same thing with a harf jar. The sentence will not be complete until you have an ism in the sentence. So because of that, it becomes what they say, most noble of the categories of words. And that's why they say that it's mushtaq min as-samu. As-samu is, like I said, it means ulu. It means that it's high, it's in high regards. He said, والاسم لغة ما دل على مسمى. So he said in the language is ما دل على مسمى. So anything that points to what that, once you hear the name of something, you know what that thing is. So يدل على مسمى. And the word dalla in the Arabic language, it has a meaning similar to like indicates, points to something, indicates something. It's something of that nature, right? Or implies or denotes. So you say like, well, dalla ala musamma, it means that it indicates the one that's named with that name. So if you say kitabun, you understand what that is, because we know what we call a kitab. We know what has that name. The same thing if you were to talk about the name of a person, Muhammad or Zaydun or Ahmadu, or any of these names, and ma dalla ala musammahu. All right, so wastilahan, which is in the the terminologies of the people of Nahwu, كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها ولم تقترن بزمان. So it's a word that has a meaning within this. It has its own meaning. It doesn't. The meaning is clear from the word itself. في نفسها ولم تقترن بزمان. So here it doesn't have a time period. All right. So if we say kitabun, zaydun, muhammadun, kurasiyun, qalamun, whatever words we use, ka'asun or whatever, here there's no association with time. So there's no time associated with these words. And that's the iqtiran. Iqtarana, it means to be connected to or associated with something. So there's no association with time. Of course, we know that time comes into play once we put a verb with it. And so the only way, even in the English sentences, and this is the same for the English language, if you have book, there's no time associated. But once you put a verb with it, like is, am, are, or was, were, now you put a time and say this is a book or this was a book. Now there's time associated with it because of the verb. And I don't know, I can't comment and say that this is for all languages, but definitely like the Western languages and the Arabic language, that yes, that's the case. You have to have a verb, and the verb is what puts it in the time. So كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها ولم تقترن بزمان. So no association with time. So, and we're going to see the similarities and the differences between each of these at the end, inshallah. He said, ومعنى قولهم دلت على معنى في نفسها أن المعنى يفهم منها من غير حاجة إلى انضمام كلمة أخرى إليها. So we don't need another word to be put with an ism to know the meaning of the word. So if I just say kitab, it's very clear what the meaning of that is. Kitab, we know what that is. If I say طاولة, or if I say قلم, or if I say anything babun, we don't need. Now there might be a specific meaning. Like, for example, bab, are you talking about the door of the house? Are you talking about a chapter in a book? That type of specific meaning, we'd have to put it into context. But we know the meaning of the word without anything associated with it. So it's clear, the meaning. So that's what he's saying, أن المعنى يفهم منها من غير حاجة إلى انضمام كلمة أخرى إليها. نحو زيد شجاع. Zayd شجاع. All right, so these are very, very clear. All right, and it's a mubtada wal khabar. All right, that Zaydun shuja'. So once we see these words, we know exactly what they mean, but there's no time associated. Was he, I mean, obviously when we say Zaydun shuja', you understand it like now, but was he in the past? Will he be in the future? We don't know. So فإن كل من زيد وشجاع كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها. So both of these words are a word that the meaning is understood within itself, without the other component. فزيد دل على ذات معينة مسماة بهذا اللفظ. So Zayd is indicates is an indication towards ذات معينة, which is a specific person مسماة بهذا اللفظ, a person that's named with this word Zayd. So because this is his name, so he, this is what it indicates. It indicates Zayd. والشجاع دل على ذات موصوفة بهذا الوصف. So this shows the person that's described with this description. وهو الشجاعة. الشجاعة is bravery. So when we say Zaydun shuja', it means Zayd is brave. وشجاعة وكل منهما لم يقترن بزمان. And each one of these, there's no association with time. فخرج بقولنا دلت على معنى في نفسها الحرف. So, but now we have the exception, like what's excluded from this meaning. So when we say ولم تقترن دلت على معنى في نفسها, all right, this includes the verb and excludes the harf. So the fi'l is included in this definition of دلت على معنى في نفسها, that the meaning is understood by itself, but it excludes the harf, because the harf is we're going to understand. He says الحرف إنه كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها, that the meaning of the harf, it comes out with it being put into a sentence. We don't understand the meaning of the harf until it's connected to something else. He said وخرج بقولنا ولم تقترن بزمان. Now, because we have the lack of association with time, it excludes the fi'l. فإنه كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها واقترنت بزمان. So the fi'l, it has a meaning within itself. So the ism and the fi'l agree in that category, in the point of having a meaning that's understood within itself without being put into a sentence. But they separate with the association with time. So the ism has no association with time, and the fi'l has an association with time, as we'll see inshallah. He said والفعل لغة هو نفس الحدث الذي يحدثه الفاعل من قيام وقعود ونحوها. So he's saying it's the نفس الحدث, the exact occurrence الذي يحدثه الفاعل. The actor brings in, the actor does, because the actor here, I don't mean the actor in a film, I mean the actor as in the one who does an action. So the one who does the action, he brings this action into, it happens by his hands. So هو الذي يحدثه الفاعل من قيام وقعود, and he gave examples from standing, from sitting, ونحوهما, and similar to these types of actions, whether it's eating, drinking, or whatever. All right, so this is the meaning in the language. So the fi'l is the actual action itself. The action itself. Okay, the action itself. واصطلاحا كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها واقترنت بأحد الأزمنة الثلاثة التي هي الماضي والحال والمستقبل. نحو خرج زيد. So then he said in the terminologies of the أصحاب النحو, كلمة, so it's a word دلت على معنى في نفسها, indicates a meaning within itself. It has a meaning within itself. Like ذهب خرج, we understand ذهب means to go, خرج means to leave, جاء means to arrive or to come. Alright, واقترنت بأحد الأزمنة الثلاثة التي هي. So then, but it has an association with one of the time periods, one of the three time periods. التي هي الماضي والحال والمستقبل. So the ماضي, the past, the حال is the present, والمستقبل is the future. نحو خرج زيد. خرج زيد in the past. خرج فعل ماض مبني على فتح. Alright, مبني على الفتح, وزيد فاعل مرفوع. Okay, so فخرج كلمة دلت في نفسها على معنى وهو الخروج. So the word خرج itself has a meaning within, indicates a meaning within itself, وهو الخروج. واقترنت بأحد الأزمنة وهو الزمن الماضي. And it's associated with the time period which is the past. الذي حصل فيه الخروج. And this is where the actual leaving occurred. The leaving occurred in the past. So فخرج بقولنا دلت على معنى في نفسها. So now again it's the same as the ism, because it has so the same understanding of the ism as far as what's included and what's excluded is the same. So here we have دلت على معنى في نفسها. So what's excluded? The harf. And that's what he says, دلت على معنى في نفسها الحرف. إنه كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها. And also excluded from the meaning of the association with time is the ism, because it's not associated with time. So this is why he said وخرج بقولنا واقترنت بأحد الأزمنة الاسم فإنه كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها ولم تقترن بزمان كما تقدم. Alright, as has already been mentioned. ثم اعلم. So now he's going to go into the different parts, the different categories of أفعال. He said ثم اعلم أن الفعل ينقسم إلى ثلاثة أقسام. That the fi'l is broken up into three categories. الأول الماضي. Al-Madi, and it comes from the verb mada. And mada, it means that it's past, it's done, it's over. So you say ma mada min umrihi, what's passed from his life, from his age. So these things are already done, they're finished, it's over. Okay, mada yamdi. Alright, so he said al-awwal al-madi wa huwa ma dalla ala hadathin waqa'a qabla zaman at-takallum. So he said that the madi is ma dalla, indicates an occurrence, something that occurred that happened in the time that happened before the time of speaking. So this occurrence took place before the time of speaking. So he said ma dalla ala hadathin waqa'a. Waqa'a means to occur. قبل زمان التكلم. التكلم from before the time of speaking. So when you say that, like he gave the example, نحو خرج وأكرم وانطلق واستخرج. خرج, it means to go. So if you say خرج أحمد من المسجد, then this action has already happened before the time of speaking. When you say أكرم أحمد ضيفه, that the Ahmed was hospitable to his guest, that he gave his guest, he honored his guest. This happened before the time of speaking. And the next word, انطلق, which means to leave out quickly. All right, تلاني ذهب بسرعة. So you could say, like for example, انطلق القطار. انطلق القطار, which the train, it left out quickly. All right, انطلق. All right, and it has different meanings, but this is the general. He said, وَاسْتَخْرَجَ. وَاسْتَخْرَجَ, it means to extract or to take out something. All right, to extract or take out something. So you say, like for example, استخرجه من جيبه, or you could say like استخرجه من مادة كذا, يعني مثل زيت زيتون. You say, like for example, يعني استخرج زيت زيتون, or استخرج زيتا من الزيتون, so to extract it, okay, to extract. But it can also mean like استخرجه and خرجه. It can also have that type of meaning, to take something out of something. And of course that meaning, it came in the Quran in Surah Yusuf. فبدأ بأوعيتهم قبل وعاء أخيه ثم استخرجها من وعاء أخيه. And the wi'a is any type of dharf that you put something in, any type of, it could be a bag or anything, and the plural is o'i'a, o'i'ati, o'i'atun. So he said, فبدأ بأوعيتهم قبل وعاء أخيه ثم استخرجها, and then he pulled it out, he took it out of the bag, and he من وعاء أخيه, from his brother, which is Binyamin. So this is استخرج. He said وثاني المضارع. المضارع, it means المضارع, it comes from the word ضارع يضارع مضارعة, which means شابه, and they call it مضارع here because it يشبه الاسم في بعض الأوصاف, that is similar to the noun in some characteristics. And one of those things is the fact that the mudari', it has it's mu'rab, and you have the ism, the asl of it is i'rab, and the asl of the mudari' is i'rab, where the asl of the fi'l itself is bina. It's not mu'rab, but the mudari' itself is the only one of the af'al that is mu'rab. So in that case, it also is similar to the ism. It's also similar to the ism in the meaning. Because, like for example, you can say, like for example, إن أحمد لا يضرب, or you can say إن أحمد لا ضارب. So here we have إن أحمد لا يضرب, or إن أحمد لا ضارب. So here we have an ism and a fi'l and ism, two different examples, one using a fi'l and the other using an ism, but they both have similar meanings. So there's like tashabuh baynahuma. There's similarities between them, even in the meanings. And this is with the mudari'. All right, and it's not with the madi, it's not with the fi'l amr. So the madi and the fi'l amr is mabni always. All right, لا يدخل عليه الإعراب. And the fi'l mudari' is mu'rab as long as it's not attached to the nun tawqid, khafifa aw thaqila. And once it becomes attached to the nun tawqid, then it becomes mabni. It goes back to the asl. But as long as there's no nun al-tawkid, and because once you attach the nun al-tawkid, which is, again, it's specific for the af'al. Like the nun al-tawkid cannot go on an ism, right? You can't say kitabun, you could say, la yaktubanna, you put the nun al-tawkid on the fi'l. So because of that's being khas for the af'al, then it goes back to its original state, which is mabni. And it takes it out of the i'rab because now it's no longer mushabih lil asma. So as long as it has that shibh, that similarity to the ism, then it's mu'rab. So it said وثاني المضارع وهو ما دل على حدث يقع في زمان التكلم أو بعده نحو يخرج ويكرم وينطلق ويستخرج. So he said that this indicates or shows an occurrence that happens في زمان التكلم. Either it happens in the time of speaking أو بعده, or after it. Now this is for example, if we say يذهب أحمد, alright, يذهب أحمد or يذهب زيد or whatever the case may be, or يخرج زيد. Right now, if Zayd is in the house and he's getting prepared to leave, and then we say يخرج زيد, ما قال خرج, alright, he hasn't left out of the house. So at this point, the khuruj, the actual leaving, is going to happen after the time of speaking, not during. But if we see, like, for example, Ahmed walking in the street, going to the masjid, and then you say, like, okay, أين يذهب أحمد? You say, يذهب أحمد إلى المسجد. That Ahmed is going to the masjid. Then at that point, it's occurring at the time of speaking. But if he's getting ready, and he's in the house, and then you say, أين يذهب أحمد? You say, أحمد يذهب أحمد إلى المسجد. Alright, then Ahmed is going to the masjid, but he hasn't gone yet. He hasn't left the house. So at this point, it happens after the time of speaking. So the mudari', it can be either something that occurs at the time of speaking or immediately after the time of speaking. Alright, and that's based on the context. The person will know that based on the context. If you see a student writing and you say, ماذا يصنع طالب هذا? And you say, يكتب, because he's doing it right now, so this means that it's happening, what? At the time of speaking. If he's eating, you say, يأكل. If he's drinking, يشرب. Alright, so this happens at the time of speaking. But like I said, if he's getting ready to leave, or, he's getting ready to study, and you say, يدرس الطالب, but he's not actually studying right now, but he's getting prepared to study, then this is going to happen بعد زمن التكلم, after the time of speaking. So in the same examples he gave, يخرج ويكرم وينطلق ويستخرج. So you can use the same examples like يخرج أحمد من البيت ويكرم زيد ضيفه كلما يأتيه وينطلق القطار بعد صلاة الظهر ويستخرج زيتا من الزيتون. Whatever. Alright, as any of those meanings. You can use the same exact examples with the mudari'. Alright, so وَثَالِثُ الْأَمْرِ. Alright, and this is the future tense. So we have the madi, which shows the past, the ma mada. He said al-mudari', and which shows the waqt al-hadir, the hal, and al-amr, which is now going to show the mustaqbal. وثالث الأمر وهو ما دل على حدث مستقبلا يطلب حصوله أو استمراره. So this indicates an action that's that you seek the occurrence of this action either in the future. You're either seeking the occurrence of this action in the future or the continuity of this action. Like the action is already happening, but you're telling the person to continue doing this action. So that's what it means when he said ما دل على حدث مستقبل. Alright, a future occurrence. يطلب طلب, it means obviously to seek, and that's why we say طالب العلم وطلاب العلم. These are people that seek knowledge. Alright, but any طالب is a person who seeks something. Alright, شيء مطلوب is the thing that is sought after. So العلم هو المطلوب. The knowledge is the thing that is sought after. He said مستقبل يطلب حصوله أو استمراره. So what is sought is either this action occurs or that it's already occurring and you're seeking that the action continues. He said فالأول هو الأكثر. And the first meaning, which means that you want the action to occur. نحو أخرج وأكرم وانطلق واستخرج. So أخرج من البيت وأكرم ضيفك. And then, you know, if you're talking to the person who's responsible, like he's the conductor of the train, you say انطلق, انطلق, you know, go, leave, like leave quickly. واستخرج, you know, واستخرج زيتا من الزيتون, or واستخرج هذا يعني قلمك من جيبك. All right, whatever the case may be. وثاني نحو قولك للمجتهد. So the second meaning, which is the istimrar, the continuity, نحو قولك للمجتهد اجتهد. اجتهد, it means to continue working hard, because he's already mujtahid. So you're not telling him to start doing it, you're telling him to what? Continue doing it. اجتهد أي استمر. استمر على الاجتهاد. And if you notice, with any time that you have any of the af'al where the letter is repeated, so marra, and then you have istamarra, obviously it's the asl of it is istamrara. Istamrara. It's two ras, but then they put the two ras together and they make it one, and with a shadda. So whenever you have the fi'l amr for these types of letters, it takes a fatha. It doesn't take a sukoon, because you can't put a sukoon on a double letter. So istamarra, istamarra, istamarra. You don't say istamir. You say istamarra. Ala taqwaq. Or excuse me, ala ijtihadik, in this case of the ijtihad. Istamirra. So you say like istamarra ala al-ijtihad. ومنه قوله تعالى لسيد المتقين, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ittaqi laha, in Surah Al-Ahzab. ittaqi laha ay istamirra ala taqwaq. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is huwa min atqa muttaqin. I mean, so if you know, so there's no doubt that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taqwa, and he is, you know, he's the most the one that is the most muttaqi. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him istamirra ala taqwaq, and to continue with the taqwa. So that's it. I mean, inshallah, we're going to stop here for today. So what we've taken the ism, and we know that the ism is mushtaqun min as-sumu', and that it's you know that it's ma dalla ala musamma, as far as the definition in the English language, in the Arabic language, in the language itself, and it's the you know kalimatun dallat ala ma'na fi nafsiha wa lam taqtaran bi zaman. So we know that the ism, it doesn't have any association with time, whereas the fi'l, it has the same definition of the first part of the definition is the same. Whereas كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها, ولكن what's the difference between the ism and the fi'l is the association with time. So the fi'l is كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها واقترنت بأحد الأزمنة الثلاثة التي هي الماضي والحال والمستقبل. So we have three time periods with the fi'l, which is the past, the present, and the future. All right, and then of course with the past we have the fi'l madi, which shows the action that happened before the time of speaking, and then we have the fi'l mudari', and we understand that mudari', it comes from shabaha, dara'a yudari'u, which means yushabihu. All right, because of it having i'rab and also carrying a similar meaning with the ism. All right, and of course the mudari', it happens either at the time of speaking or after the time of speaking. And then we have the fi'l amr, which is something that you're seeking to happen or continue happening. So with that, inshallah, we'll finish this lesson. إلى هنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.